spoons. 2 silver spoons. These were made by my husband, Jean-Baptiste Soulard, right here in Port-Royal, many, many years ago. When I was a girl, my only silver was that of the Acadian moon hanging over the river near my home. Do you know what I'm saying, eh? Vous savez? Maybe not. Huh? We weren't poor, my family and me, though I was one of 19 children. 19! And true, we had no real silver, but we had a good home and food off our land. We were Acadians. Vous savez, Acadian. And by the time I was born in 1694, well, the Acadians had lived in this area for 50 years. My family lived not far from here, in Préron, what you call Round Hill. As with all Acadians in those times, we lived along the French River, of course, huh? And we diked the marshlands so we could farm the rich soil. Oh, it was a life filled with rhythm. The rhythm of the seasons and of the land. And we were nearly self-sufficient, though we did trade our produce or cattle for things we could not make ourselves. Huh? Glass, iron things, du sucre, vous savez, sugar, and so forth. Oh, these items, they came from New England. It would seem that this was an idyllic existence. Oh, way. And it could have been, if not for the constant warring between the English and the French. But you know, both countries thought they wanted this land known as Acadie. Oh, ils voulaient, ouais. Ils voulaient, they wanted it. Until they got it, and then they forgot about it. C'est ça que Papa disait. That's what my father would say. We try not to take sides. This became increasingly difficult, as you can imagine. How well I can remember the attacks made by the English on the fort here at Port-Royal. No, I was not here, but I was just up the river. Only a few miles away. Savions tout ce qui se passe, and we all knew what was happening. When I was 8, I remember many big ships. They come from Massachusetts, and the commander on board, well, he demanded the surrender of the fort. Then, in 1707, the fort and the town suffered through 2 attacks from New England. We, the Acadians, well, we were called upon to supply provisions to the garrison. We always had to supply our crops to the garrison, whether the English were attacking or not. I can still smell the stench. The briquette. You know, the smoke from the fires. So much of the town was burned. The worst attack. 10-10. Hey, premier, but first, I must tell you something good, huh? Something happy that happened the year before. That is when I met my future husband. I met him at the marché. You know, the market in Port-Royal? Some of us had come in early on the tide in the morning. Oh, well, you see the river? She was our highway. And I saw this newcomer. Oh. I learned that his name was Jean-Baptiste Soulard. He was a gunsmith and a silversmith working for the garrison. He had just moved down from Canada, Quebec, where his father, too, was a well-respected silversmith. Jean-Baptiste and I, on s'en marié. We married on February 10th, 1710. We built this house here on Rue Dauphin in the spring of that year, and we moved right in. We were so very happy. Oh, il faisait beau. For so short a time. I was en famille expecting our first child, when the English attacked the fort yet again. There were British warships and colonial transport boats, you know, and 2,000 English soldiers. While the French, they were heavily outnumbered and the siege lasted only a short time. Governor Subercas surrendered. What followed was not a happy time for us. Premier, one day, we moved out of our chez nous, out of our cozy home. Never again did we live where we had been so happy together. And then the next year, my father, he was arrested by the English. After the birth of our second son, Pascal, we sold our house. And we moved to Quebec to be near Jean-Baptiste's family. Oh, we sold the house to Monsieur John Adams. I was never happy in Quebec. And I died there. Only a few years later, in 1717. Jean-Baptiste silver spoons. Oh, they remind me of when I was happiest in my life. Oh, that's why you find me here, in my petit chez nous, huh? In my little home, on Rue Dauphin.